Hello and welcome to Burky and Badger's Board Game Babble, a live podcast recorded on YouTube. This is episode 55, Micro-mania, recorded live on the 6th of April 2018.
It's that time again. It's the Burky and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. It's gonna get wild. It's gonna get wacky. It might even get a little zany. We're gonna talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about.
Hey! I just tweeted on the Twitter that we were, really late because of technical problems. You know what I mean? No.
Hey! I just texted on Twitter that we were having technical problems. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you heard me. That's, awesome. It's like when I'm talking, you can actually hear me, and we can vent online. I think that's...
No, you've written it down in the script. That was a technical problem.
Well, okay. That's how that goes.
Okay.
Hey! It's my good friend, Badger the Brave, Barry Doublet, all the way from France, and it's so good always to talk with you, my friend.
Oh, yes, and you, my good friend, Sir Burky of Babblot, otherwise known as Kevin Burkhardt-Smile, all the way over in cold, snowy Minnesota.
I gotta tell you something about this weather, okay? I feel like I'm in a Narnia movie where it's always winter.
Uh-huh.
We just got dumped on. Kabuki Kid says the camera is only locked on Barry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so she wants to see me because I'm always glad when people get to see me.
Okay, there you go. I've locked it onto you.
Well, no, don't lock it onto me. Lock it. She wants to see you too.
I know, but we test to see if it works.
Well, anyway, I feel like I'm in a Narnia where it's always winter and the wicked queen is gonna freeze everybody because it's like 2 below zero today in Minnesota, and it's April.
Yay! And we had sunshine, so I cut the grass.
Yeah, well, this is funny about that too. I was feeling spring, okay? Like 2 weeks ago, we almost all the snow was gone, and I was feeling springtime was coming, and I'd be able to put on my t-shirt and my shorts because it's going to be about 40 degrees, so that's cool to have my t-shirt and shorts on. So I'm feeling good about all that. But then so I'm online and I see this yard tools, these cool trimmers and a push cart and a trimmer and a hedge thing, and I thought, oh yeah, baby, I'm gonna get those. So I bought those, and then it snowed 8 inches, and then it got really cold, and then it snowed another 3 inches, and then another 6 inches, and I can't use my yard tools now for a long time.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay, enough ranting about the weather, but that's life in Minnesota right now.
So anyway, in this episode, we're going to talk quickly about all the things that we've been doing in Babblot, and then we're going to do a rundown of all the rumours that we've heard in Babblot in our section, things that make us go, and then we're going to give our first impressions of new games that we've played in our good, not so bad and ugly section before going into a big couple of reviews in our Knights of Babblot section. And then we'll finish off with our Babble Tocket, where we're talking about micro games. Are they still the fad, or have they disappeared off the face of the planet?
Hey! I think we just need to find out what's been going on in Babblot. Anyway, what's been going on with you, my friend?
So, I'm just getting off the Kickstarter train from Batman. Yay! Which funded with a whopping $4.4 million, which is fantastic. Batman. Which means that we may see a Batman come back in future with some expansions and some more characters, because there were a lot of people disappointed that certain characters didn't pop up or weren't in the Kickstarter at all. which is a shame. But it is a massive universe, so there's always room for improvement, and there's always room for expansions. And again, they didn't want to burden themselves with doing too much work. They'd already got like most of the game already laid out, and they didn't want to expand on that anymore. And tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to be in Paris at the Batman after party. So I'm going to be spending some of that $4.4 million. No, I'm joking. But I'm going to go to the party and play some games with the team.
It's going to the party.
Yeah, sorry. I'm probably sounding nasally as well. But it's still this cold for 2 weeks now. So yeah, Kickstarter closed down. So that's one thing out of the way for me, and I'm on Kickstarter job number 2, which is over here. I am in the process of composing music for Chronicles of Crime, which is another Kickstarter which finished earlier this year. It's a detective game where you'll be using an app which tells the story and gives you all the clues and gives you all the information from all these suspects and the clues and the locations and things. But it's a team game where players are going to be deducing who did the crime and why they did the crime and what with, and yeah, really good from what I've played already. So
wow,
I'm on music duty again with that. So that's what's been happening in Babble at my end. What about at your end?
That sounds awesome, Barry. Yeah, no, it's I tell you, Badger, I have been just my life has taken such a big shift, all due to a incredible, fantastical, exciting, energizing, passionate pursuit that I decided to do a year ago that most of you know about, called Game Toppers.
Ooh. Woohoo.
What Game Toppers has done to me has ruined my life. I am so busy right now. I say that in jest, but I am working 12 to 16 hours a day, sleeping very little, and working through the weekends, not getting rest. And so it actually has been getting a bit wearing on me because I've been pushing really hard since May. We are just starting doing fulfillment, and people are getting their toppers, all the standard toppers, and they're just loving them. I'm just the response from the community has been like crazy. I'm so encouraged and I'm so thankful. It's just better than I could expect. So I'm so fantastic, happy about all of it. But in any process where you do something this large, especially like myself, I'm managing most of this. It's just very difficult to manage all of it as one person. So it's just very tiring. As we go forward, I'm going to be able to hire some staff and get back to my hobby, which was board games, which I love, and not be quite as busy as I am. But other than that, that's really what consumes my life right now. I've got a couple of games I got to play, though, with my family over Easter. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of fun.
That's good that it's on the roll, but with a few bumps on the way.
Well, there's just always challenges, and when you manage something, you're going to experience obstacles that you need to overcome, and so there's constant problem solving. There's so many parts to this thing, and just little things that you have to deal with. But if you don't deal with them, they become big things, and so it's just an all-consuming thing. But I'm committed to it. I'm loving what's happening. I can't express my gratitude to all my backers and all the people that have been on the journey that have helped me. I couldn't be more thankful and grateful. I'm just so happy. So
cool. Let's have a quick hello to all our Babbleites that are with us at the moment. We have Kabuki Kid. Hello. Econ Kelly. Sir Jubes. We have
awesome.
Jesse Shaky. And we have
Sir Jobs, not Sir Boobs. Sir Jobs.
It's Jubes. 2 O's.
Jobs.
Yeah, but it's...
Oh, it is Jubes.
Sir Jubes?
Sir Jubes? Sir Jobs.
Yeah, Sir Jobs. So that's some of the Babbleites that are hanging out with us, which is nice.
I had something else I wanted to share because this was really fun. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but Chris Whitpan, he's a friend of mine that I met last year at the Secret Cabal meetup at Gen Con. And Chris is just this funny, dry sense of humor guy, but he's so sharp, so intelligent, but just a great guy. And he started this show called Game All Night, and it has this set that's amazing. It looks like Letterman or Conan O'Brien, that kind of thing. And he is bringing on different people from the hobby and industry, designers, media creators, and so forth. And he actually had me on the show the other day, Game All Night. And it isn't published yet, but Gary Pope from the Dice Tower is also helping with the production. He's his sidekick. And we had a blast, man. We talked about food and Burke's Happy Mouse Spice. And he's a culinary chef. He was trained classically with French cooking. And we had a blast. We talked about games and how they related to different foods, and it's going to be coming out in the future, guys. But check out Game All Night, Chris Whitpan, and you're going to see that, and it's a really fun show. I think you might like it.
Things that make us go, Board game news. Burky and Badger reflect on the current events that are happening in the board game industry. Some may be good, some may be bad, but there are all things that make us go, Okay, so what's been making you go, Burky?
Well, it's something that's really huge, It has to do with tariffs. Tariffs. I gotta tell you, we're gonna make America great again, okay? It's gonna be huge, trust me.
I trust you, not the other guy.
Yeah, I think you share the sentiments of many. But actually, that's I'm making jokes. But tariffs, that's something that made me go, Immediately, when I heard about the tariffs with China about aluminum, immediately I got concerned because our game toppers are made out of T6 military-grade aluminum. However, ours are all made in the United States, okay? So, it says so that didn't concern me as far as U.S. distribution, but immediately we saw a hike, an upward price in the aluminum cost. And it was close to an 8% jump, and I had to reorder a small batch, so I noticed it right away. And then I started seeing Stefan Brachot from Yellow Games, the CEO of North America, had made a comment about how board games are not affected by this tariff. Then I started researching. I got online. I started digging into the whole thing, trying to figure out what's going on, what things were going to be affected, and then how China's retaliating, and there may be a tariff war. Now, I'm not trying to get into politics, okay? So just forget about all the politics stuff. Everybody's going to have a perspective, and that's fine. However, how does it affect us in the industry? And I had this crazy thought, okay? And you might label me now a gaming heretic. I don't know. But I thought, what if we couldn't get our games from China anymore? And I went, maybe that would be okay. It just hit me like, I've got 500 games sitting over here that I never get to play, and I love them. I got more games than I can play, so who cares? Now, I know that sounds just crazy because everyone's innovating and we want to keep the industry growing and there's all new and better stuff, but, it's like, I don't know, all of a sudden it didn't bother me as much as when the first initial reaction, what if this affects our games? I don't know. That's what it made me go, What do you think about all that?
Aluminum.
Well, what if it affected our board games? Well, you don't care. You're in France. You don't care.
Everything affects our board games. Let me think. Let me just make something up. Let's just say butterfly effect. Let's just say that Brazil chops down too many trees and there's not enough trees to make the cardboard to produce the board games. That's going to have a knock-on effect on prices. Everything's going to affect the board gaming even designers might put their prices up. They might join a union as authors, like the Screen Guild?
Screen Guild.
Something like that. Yeah, they have a guild, and they go on strike. Imagine that.
It's kind of like the BGG Guild. I mean, it's like that guild.
Deary me.
Okay, well, being you don't have much to talk about that, so what is making you go,
Okay, let's go to the screen share. This made me go, Let's go big screen. Can you see this?
My Little Scythe.
Yes, on Board Game Geek, someone has produced a kiddie version of Scythe.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. Yeah.
And I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. Is it copyright? Is it? Can you name it that? Did Jamie Stegmaier give them to right to put like My Little Pony in his game with gems and pink castle in the middle? I don't know what to make of it. Is this the future of board gaming? Are we going to see like this kind of thing pop up everywhere? Are we going to see like My Little Carcassonne and My Little Zaya, Legends of a Drift system done for kids but with sweeties or whatever? I just don't know what to make of it. It's one of those things which made me go.
Well, what I'm really waiting for is I'm waiting for my good friend Mike Parkinson, who does the board game makeovers on the Dice Tower channel. Mike's an awesome guy. I love his stuff, but I'm waiting for him to do Simpson Scythe.
You're joking me.
He does Simpson everything, so that's a little joke, but that's pretty funny. I thought it was funny.
Thing is, he does that for his family, so I don't see that as breaking any kind of copyright.
Yeah.
Because it's like you buy a game and you can change the rules if you want, and that's not breaking copyright. But he's obviously sorted it out with Jamie. I believe.
I have to believe that's the case. Otherwise, there would be great intellectual property things with the name and all of that. So I'm sure there was some kind of agreement.
And again, it depends on how much of the rules he's changed in comparison. So
yeah.
But there you go. That's what made me go.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. So shall we move on to?
The good, the not so bad. Wait for it, and the ugly.
Back to my ugly mug.
Ugly. He's ugly.
Oh God! I've just realised I got my squeaky chair as well. Things aren't going my way.
All right, so we're going to go right into the good, the not so bad and ugly. And the good, the not so bad and ugly, this is actually a segment where we're giving you our first impressions. This does not necessarily mean that we've played these games 100 times and at every player count. In some cases, that is the case, but this is our first impressions. And if we think this game is over the moon, we think this is a hit, we're going to call it good. If we think that this game is, well, it's pretty good, but maybe we need to play it some more, or yeah, it has merit, but we don't know, whatever, then we're going to say not so bad. But if we hate this game, it makes us want to throw up when we look at the cover. I mean, we just want to throw up in the box. That's what we want to do. Then we're going to just say it's ugly, and we're going to go ugly. Even if we haven't played it more than once, we're going to go ugly. Now, we don't do that very often, so it's got to be really ugly.
Do you want to start, seeing as people can see you on the screen share?
There, I can do that. Well, my first game, this is a game that has to do with beautiful colors. Beautiful colors everywhere. Happy colors on little squares. Now, they're all over the place, and you get to get sets of these pretty colored squares, and they have like a tiling mosaic feel to them.
Oh, dearie me.
And you get all kinds of points when you place these little mosaic tiles in their spot that they go. So, with all of that wonderful description, what do you think the game is I've been playing?
Okay, I got that. Let's see what the chat says and agrees with me, because I think it's a game that begins with the word A. And people are talking about My Little Scythe.
Yeah, My Little Scythe. What do you guys think?
Yes!
Todato is there, says Azul.
Which is exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, well, it does start with A and ends with Zool.
And it lives in a fridge, and you need the Ghostbusters to take it out.
Azul. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Azul. Basically, what you're doing with Azul is you have these different factories, and you have 4 tiles on each one of them, and you're trying to fill out your lines, but they're a cascading line. You start with 1, and then you have a row that's 2, and a row that's 3, all the way to 5, and sometimes you're going to get stuck with extra tiles, and then they go down into your negative scoring, your storage area. And so that's a negative thing. So there can be a take that element to the game if people are paying attention to each other's tableau cards. When you put them in a column or you put them in a row, you're going to get points. And those points multiply when you place them next to one another, where you're going to score both directions is what I mean by multiply. And then you also, at the end of the game, you're going to get 7 points if you have a column. You're going to get 2 points if you have a row finished all across, and that triggers the end game. But there's a potential that once everyone finishes their turn that they could possibly have 2 rows. In addition to that, if you get 1 of each type, and there's 5 of each type of these tiles, you get a bonus 10 points. And that's basically the game. It's 2 to 4 players. It plays relatively quickly. You can whip this thing out in 40 minutes, sometimes a half an hour. And that's basically Azul. What do you think that I think about it?
Well, I know that you love this game because you told me that your daughter loved it as well. You gave too much away in a previous episode about this game, so I'm going to say that it is good.
All right. Well, my game playing has been limited, and so for me to have a game to talk about, this was the one. My dear friend Kay King, who's helped us a lot with our Kickstarter, actually gifted this to my family. We played this at Con of the North. We played it 3 times, and you're correct. My daughter Maddie and Gabrielle, they loved it. Since then, I've played this several more times, and it's absolutely good. We love this game. Azul. I think this is definitely a nomination for the Spiel des Jahres. It's the perfect type of game for that. I don't get tired of it. You can play the black side to have some more variability. I'll bet you they come out with new boards that create additional things that you can do. It's quick. It's just a beautiful game. Love it. Love it. I'd highly recommend it. Azul.
And there's no Dana.
No. Kabuki said that she liked Azul, but not enough to purchase. And that's absolutely true. When we were at last episode, when we were at the Miniature Market Superstore opening with Robert Oren on our show, that day I asked Steve, I said, the owner, I said, could you just go grab me a copy of Azul? And he said, we sold 680 of them overnight. They got in another 1,000 and they sold out immediately. So they're not, I think a lot of the retail stores will probably have some in stock now, but these are going fast. This is a hot game.
Sounds it. It's going to probably obliterate Dragon Castle, unfortunately. But
well, I hear really great things about that. But yeah, that's another story. All right. What's your good, not so bad, or ugly?
So it's my game. You guys got to try and guess my new game that I've played for the very first time. And these are my first impressions. Now, I stuck with the theme of the show, which is micro games. This game comes in a box which you could fit into the palm of your hand. It's a deck of cards which have shapes and colours and numbers upon them. And you're going to be laying them out Quirkle style as you play and scoring Quirkle style as you play. But there is a completely different logic to the way that you play the game. This has a logic which compares to another game where you have to make lines of either the same color, the same number, or the same shape. But if you do like one of those, none of the shapes, so say if you did it with the same number, none of them can have the same shape, or none of them can have the same color, or they can have the same color and the same shape, or they could have the same number, the same color, but not the same shape, but you get what I mean. So
what do you mean by Quirkle style? I know there's a game called Quirkle, but I've never played it.
Well, all right, then Scrabble style then.
Scrabble style.
Does that help?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna look at the forum, see if anybody's got a clue.
Give me a little more.
Okay, they're cards. They got shapes, colors, and numbers on them. You play them. Okay, yeah, so you're basically creating a line, like Scrabble. You'll add a line of cards, which will either connect in some way, either by shape, color, or number, or two of those things, or all three of those things, and you'll score points for the amount of cards that you make on your line. If you ever finish a line, because there's only 4 colors, 4 shapes, and 4 numbers, so if you get 4 cards in a line, if you put the last one on, you score double the points, which would be 8 points, and the game keeps going until there's no more cards to draw, and it's Quirkle. But
yeah, I don't know what that would be. Do we have anybody from the chat that knows?
Mint delivery.
Mint delivery, Ben says.
Yeah.
Nope. I think we're stumping people.
Ooh.
You better just give us the goods.
Oh yeah, this game is basically Quirkle meets this game called Set, and the game is called Itoa, and it's by Gamewright who do it. And
wow,
it is basically, as I said, a game where it is Quirkle that meets Set. You're playing Quirkle style, but you're doing logical patterns like in Set.
Okay, I see.
So there you go. See, there's a line in the middle here. They're all got number 3s, but they're all different colors. There's a red, green, and blue, and they're all different shapes: square, cross, and circle.
So where did you come across this game?
My good friend who introduced me to Munchkin many, many, many years ago when we were over in England, he came round and he pulled this out of his pocket and we played it.
Wow.
And it was late, and it is a very brain-burnery game, because it's like Set. Set is very brain-burnery, but at the same time, Set is rapidity. You're trying to find the link between 3 cards as quick as possible. Whereas in this, you have a set hand of cards, and you have to play them to connect on a Quirkle-style board, so as to say.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of in a little micro case. Well, I guess I'm going to say you say it's not too bad. I don't think you're going to say this is good. I think you tolerated it.
No, I loved it. I love Set.
You loved it.
I love Set and I love Quirkle. This game I played it once. It felt a bit long, but the thing is you couldn't really remove any cards because there's like 1 of each card. Yeah, it probably best played with 2 players, a quick back and forth. We played a 3-player game and it felt long and it was getting late and my brain was, by this game. But I really enjoyed it. I love the idea. I wish there was a tile version of the game so you could actually put tiles down. Props to Gamewright. I think the game came out in 2012, which is not long after Quirkle came out. I think it's a good combination of 2 ideas, and it worked really well. And unfortunately, it's one of these games that's like flown under the radar, but it is a very, as I said, brain burnery game. This is not going to appeal to everybody. This is something which is going to be like the high end people who love Set. So yeah,
I haven't heard of it. That's very interesting. All right, well, I have another game that I've been playing. In this game, this is tile laying again. I'm not sure why I'm talking about all these tile games, but it has tiles, and I would say that these are not dissimilar to another very, very popular game that I won't mention because that'll give it away too easy. But there's interesting colors, interesting things that get you points in this game. But it's unique how you actually get to choose between these tiles, and you're going to get a set of 3 of them. And when you get 3 of them, you're actually going to be able to bid on these, but you also are able to partially protect them and axe one of them. And that's my quick overview of the game that I've been playing. Now tell me what you think. Do you know what it is?
Tiles, and when you get 3 the same, you can bid for them.
There's small square tiles.
Mm-hmm.
I see the chat has jumped in.
Okay, I am not looking at the chat because I'm looking at you on my screen share. Woo!
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise nobody can see you and your spoils of war. Okay. Tiles, collecting 3s. It's not ringing any bells with me. I've seen quite a few tile games recently. Are you making a landscape with these tiles, or are you just collecting them?
You're making a little thingy, yeah.
You're making a little thingy. You can't be more precise than that.
little thingy. I like
a
the way
diorama.
That sounds.
An image, a landscape, a portrait.
You're making
Mosaic.
a little kingdom. We'll say kingdom.
Okay, so we're going to say King Domino then, shall we?
You're pretty close, but no.
Okay, Queen
Kabuki Kid.
Domino.
No, not that either.
Prince Domino.
No, but Princess Domino is coming out in My Little Princess Domino. No, Kabuki Kid has it right. It's absolutely Isle of Skye.
Oh, yes, I've played that.
Now, it's called The Chieftain to the King, from Chieftain to the King, Isle of Skye. We've got our Scottish game here. I've dreamed for freedom. Freedom, I've dreamed for freedom.
Okay. So there's whiskey involved in this game.
There's barrels in this game. You get barrels of whiskey and they get you 1 point if they're connected to your castle.
Yes. Or am I thinking Clans of Caledonia now? No, I'm thinking Clans of Caledonia. That was recent. I played Isle of Skye a long time ago. Because it was kind of Carcassonne-y.
It definitely has a Carcassonne feel to it because you can connect roads. You might have tiles that have sheep or cows on them, and there's multipliers with these scrolls. If you have an enclosed area, closed pasture, and you have a scroll, for instance, with 1 point for every cow, and then if you have cows in that enclosed area, you get double the points. That's one way of scoring. There's scoring every round as you put these together. It's played over, I think, 6 rounds. The thing that's interesting is there's a bidding mechanism where you're going to get coins at the beginning of every round, and you're going to place coins behind each of your tiles. And then that's the value that's assigned to that tile. One of the 3 is going to go away, and then you're going to choose from all the players on the table. I've only played this with 4 players. I've played it 3 times. I first was exposed to it with Blue Peg, Pink Peg at Origins 2 years ago, and then I was able to get this game, and then I've played it now several times with my family. So it has this interesting bidding, not auction, but bidding, drafting, if you will, mechanism, so you can kind of protect your tiles if it's one you really, really want, but you have to manage your money. And if somebody buys your tile, you get to keep the money that you had put on it, and they have to pay you that amount, which is really, so that gives you money. So if you're first, for instance, it's the only thing, we'll talk about my rating about it, but there's some downside to that. If you're first and you don't have any money, you're not going to be able to buy that extra tile. So then you're kind of in maintenance mode, protecting your tiles. It's very interesting. So with that, we'll talk a little bit more. What do you think I think about Isle of Skye?
Well, I thought the game was not too bad. It wasn't that memorable. I mean, I remember it now. Now you said about the bidding, because you got that screen, you place the tiles out, you place the money behind it. what the values that you want it to be. I don't know. I think you think it's not so bad. But then again, you bought it because you played it 2 years ago, so I'm going to say it's good. You think it's good?
I was actually given this game.
Oh, you were given it. Okay. So it's somewhere between good and good. I'm going to say you think it's good.
It's good. Ta-da! Yeah, Isle of Skye, I just found... I love bidding games. I love auction games. I love drafting games. The monetary side, the only thing I didn't like is if you're the first player, you are not able to protect your tiles as well unless you've accumulated cash from the prior turn. And so if you're first, you have to keep money if you're going to buy somebody else's tile. And so it's possible that in your turn, you're not going to get as much. So I didn't like that. But one of the things that I really liked is the fact that, I mean, there's these doorways, and I've never seen scoring quite like this that I remember. You have your A, B, C, D, and E, I believe, scoring. And the first round, you're going to score A and B. The second round, you're going to score like B and C. The third round, you're going to score A, B, and D. And at the end, you're scoring all these different ones, and these doors have different conditions. And there's about 20 of these door tiles. So every time you play this game, it's absolutely different. The scoring, I mean, the variability is just off the hook with that regard. The way the tiles go together, they're drawn out of a bag. The player interaction is really great. It's sometimes a little tricky to look over at what somebody else is building with their little tableau, their little kingdom. But overall, we're having a blast with this game. You can play the whole thing in under an hour. So, great little game. Mayfair Games, I think, did a great job. And I think, I saw this I think Kabuki said that it was a Kennerspiel, and I believe that's correct, that it won the Kennerspiel last year. Yep, so I think it's great.
Cool.
How about you, my friend?
Okay. What about me?
Hey, James is in the house, and Don Lyles is in the house.
Woo! Babbleites, unite.
Yes, Babbleites, unite. So, what's your last game here?
I'm going to keep it micro.
Micro?
Should I keep it micro or not?
It's up to you if you want to be micro or major.
No, I'm gonna throw you off. I'm gonna throw you off with this one, methinks.
One of these French games again.
Yes, one of these French games again. Okay, in this game...
Hey, everybody in the chat, I'm gonna cheat. You guys help me out and look up French games.
Oh, dearie me. Okay, right. So, in this game, you are mining for treasure in a mine, and you are digging up gems and artifacts, and you're trying not to make too much noise to wake the dragon, because if you do, he will punish you severely, point-wise.
Oh, I know what this is.
Go on then.
You want to keep going?
Well, you said you know what it is.
I think I do, but
I don't.
I'm gonna guess right now. This is like hitting the buzzer right before the whole question's even been asked.
Go for it.
All right, Clank.
No.
What?
You said Clank, You said
Clank.
C-L-A-N-K. Yeah.
It's a spelling thing.
No.
C-L-A-N-K.
No.
C-K.
Yeah, it's close, but it's wrong.
Clank.
It's not Clank.
Clank!
Okay.
I know nothing!
You know nothing? In the middle of the table, there is rows of cards. Some of them are face up, some of them are face down. Each player will have a mine cart, which is about 5 cards long. And you'll start with one card, and it will have an artifact. Say, like a red gem with a sword in it. You can then, on your turn, take another card from the bottom of the rows of cards. It'll either have to be red gem, or it'll have to be a gem with a sword in it, and you put it into your minecart. And then you can take another card if you want, and put that next to that card, as long as it corresponds with the colour and the artifact. Each card has points on it, or each card has Eyes of the Dragon on, which at the end of the game, if you've got the most, you're going to be eaten and lose points.
Wow. Now I'm totally stumped on that one. You're right. Okay, chat, help me out.
They're all saying Clank. Or it sounds like Pulsar. Mines of Xandor.
Zavendor?
Well, let me just say, Clank is the right word, but the wrong game. This game, if you're ready to finish, is called Clonk.
Oh my goodness. Clonk. C-L-O-N-K. That's what I meant.
It's Clonk.
That's what I meant. I've been slurring my words.
Yeah. Okay. It's a game where dwarves are hoarding money. As you can see, it looks like it's only in French at the moment. And as I said, there's cards, and you're trying to fill up your mine cart full of treasures which have got the most points on it. You also have some secret objectives. One is visible to everybody, and one of them is not. So it might be you collecting pink gemmed items, or you might be collecting a goblet. And as I said, on your turn, you're going to be removing a card and adding it to your minecart. Or if there's space in someone else's minecart, you can give a card to another player if it unlocks something that you want underneath it. This is a very tactile, kind of like solitaire game, where you're taking cards off of the rows and placing it onto others. And as I said, once the cards run out, players will count up how many points they got, and they will also count out how many dragon eyes they got, because that is a penalty at the end of the game.
Oh.
So, there you go. That's Clonk.
Clonk, the artwork looks really good on it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say you say it's good.
I think you'll be right there. It is good. It was quite an enjoyable kind of family-like game, where it's just, corresponding the colours and the image, but also looking at the icons to see if it's worth treasure or it's got dragon's eyes on it at the end. The icons are very hard to see. Unfortunately, they should have been clearer and, coloured maybe, so you can see that it was the dragon's eye and not money, because when you're looking across a table at a distance and you're seeing rows of cards, it's a bit hard to distinguish. There's a nice little take that to it. There's, as I said, you can dump something into someone else's cart if they haven't filled their cart up. Also, you have the chance, if you can't find any cards which correspond, depending on how far you fill up your cart, will give you some bonuses. So you might get a bonus card that you can use, like a bomb, which will destroy a card in the middle. It played pretty well. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. I liked it a lot.
How long did it take? What's the play length?
Ooh, well, we were playing with kids, so it was longer than it should have been, because the kids was explaining the rules, and the rules they were explaining were wrong, so we had to rewind and go through the rule book. But I reckon that this game would take about 30 minutes with, players that knew what they were doing.
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah.
Looked good. Is that, who's the manufacturer of that again? I saw it.
Hutch. H-U-C-H thingy. Apostrophe, not apostrophe.
Yeah, we like thingies.
Oh, my poor brain. My nose is clogging up my brain. I apologize.
Hutch. Exclamation point.
Exclamation mark. That's the one, yeah.
Well, before we move on to our next segment, the Knights of Babblot, we just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We've been so fortunate. Badger and I have had friendship with the Arcane Wonders and with Academy Games, and we just want to give a little shout out to both of them. Arcane Wonders has been with us from the very start, and as many of you know, I've helped with some of their key successful games, Sheriff of Nottingham, and being the king on Royals, and then recently on Spoils of War. These are fantastic games that I was fortunate enough to be a part of and be able to give demos of this game in costume at so many conventions. And so in this process, I've gotten to know the owners and the production people that are all a part of this show. And we are going to, in the future, are actually going to be having Tony Galati, the sales manager from Arcane Wonders, on our show on the 30th of April. And so that's very exciting to be able to talk to them about some of the new releases, because one of the things that Arcane Wonders has done is they have developed a relationship with Tom Vassell of the Dice Tower, and they have created the Dice Tower Essential line of games. And they've had some hits. I mean, Sheriff of Nottingham, Onitama, huge hit, Royals, Speechless. They've had some fantastic games. But they have a couple new games coming out, and one of their big releases is a game called Senshi. And I'm just going to read you real quickly the released announcement. So you are Senshi, a warrior monk studying diligently at the temple under the tutelage of the current master. You and your fellow students train vigorously every day to improve your mind and body, but your master is ailing, and only one Senshi will become the next master. To prove your worth, you must develop the attributes strength, agility, wisdom, and honor, and a true master must be strong in all of these and weak in none. Now, this is a little 2 to 4 player game that's designed by Dan Manfredini, and he did Burgo, Island Siege, Monkey Lab, and it's basically a strategy game, and you're going to each have a little set. Each going to have a tile. You each are going to have these different attribute tokens, and they stack. And so it's this back and forth strategy game. This game was demoed non-stop at the Gamma Trade Show, and people just raved about it. It was really a big thing. It comes in a small package, much like Onitama. The artwork is fantastic. The production is really something. And I think you're going to hear a lot more about Senshi. You can go to arcanewonders.com. and you can actually see the game and the artwork and how that plays. And they've got one other game I'll just talk about real quickly. It's a Dice Tower Essential game that is a mech-on-mech combat game. This is primarily card-driven, but it's called Critical Mass. This game is going to be a big hit. It looks like it's going to be coming out in July, and this is a 2-player game. Takes about 30 minutes to play. The artwork is amazing. These mechs back and forth, and you're adding to the power of your mech, and you're going back and forth in this arena combat, basically. You have some really beautiful player boards that come with that. It's not a huge footprint game, but a lot going on in that. This is the latest Dice Tower Essential. I think that thing is going to be a big hit. And after we get done with our Knights of Babblot segment, we're going to talk about our other sponsor, Academy Games. But we want to just give a great shout out. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring our show, and it helps pay our costs of our web hosting, which we recently have upgraded to be on Libsyn now, and getting a lot more traction with getting our show notes and all the different things there. So with that, Barry, you want to lead us into the Knights of Babblot?
Welcome, welcome to the kingdom of Babblot. In the castle of Babblot sits Burky and Badger, and they will be looking at a game that they have both played, and they will be seeing whether or not it is worthy of entering the kingdom of Babblot. They will combine their scores, and if it reaches a 10, they have a special place at the table in the kingdom of Babblot.
Our topic this week is actual Micro-mania. Micro-mania is the micro game craze that we're going to talk about in the Babblot segment. But given Barry's technical problems with this, we're going to just go through it. We'll just go through
my technical problems, is it? Oh, it's my fault.
Of course it is. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 2 games. I'll do the first one. Barry, you can do the second one. We're not going to belabor it because these are micro games. We've never done a Knights of Babblot where we've talked about micro games. The beans we're talking about micro games, we don't have to talk for a half an hour. We're going to talk about it for 5-10 minutes each, okay? So this is the way it goes. My first micro game that we're going to discuss is a little itty-bitty game called Deep Sea Adventure. It comes in a very small box. You can see it's less than the size of my hand. Okay, Deep Sea Adventure comes from Oink Games. This is a game that comes out of Japan. And it has some little bitty tokens here that go in there. You can see probably on the screen. And then a whole box of just basically little chits. And they just fell on my keyboard. Isn't that exciting? Okay, you've got chits that are 1, chits 2, 3, 4. This is a push your luck game. Okay, what's happening with this game is you're diving deep, but when you pick up a ruin from the ocean floor, it's going to have a value on it that you're going to get at the end of each round, and this is going to be played over 3 rounds. As you move down, other people start to go back up to the submarine, but if they pick 2 ruins, it's going to use 2 units of oxygen. Well, depending on how many people are in the game, and we can play up to 6 players, and depending on how many ruins people are picking up to go back up to the air, that oxygen is going to get depleted faster and faster. Well, anybody that doesn't make it to the top, they lose all their ruins, and they go to the bottom of the stack in piles of 3. Okay, this game literally plays in 10-15 minutes. I would consider this game a micro game for sure, but kind of one of these palate cleansing games, if you will, where it's a quick in-between filler. A lot of people say filler game. So, Barry, do you have anything to add to my description of Deep Sea Adventure?
Okay, I've played a couple of times, and I found the game... It is very quick, it's very simple, it's very fluid. It is practically a push your luck game where you are just, competing against the other players, trying to get the biggest treasure at the bottom of the ocean, but at the same time, you are trying not to go too far because you do want the biggest treasures, but you want to get back to the boat, because otherwise if you don't get back to the boat, you don't get to keep those treasures. And it is a real kind of like you have to measure how the other players play. And again, I think it's very mathematical. I think there's a mathematical kind of equation on how to play this game and win every time, because the people that I've played against, there's one player that just kicks everybody's butts, so to say. That they are so good at it. They know how to gauge the other players, and it's their thing. They've really got a good handle on, the math behind getting back, and how much weight they should be carrying, and what treasure they want, and they kind of like. Also, I think some of them score in their head because each the 3 tiers, they have different amounts of treasure, don't they? Like the top tier is
correct.
Values of
Very
1
little.
to 3.
Yeah, and then as you get down, you could have up to 15. And what's amazing about that is there's a lot of strategy, and it's much different at different player counts. So as you play this game with a 2-player game versus a 6-player game or a 4-player game, it's a little bit group dependent, because some people, they're just, I'm going all the way to the bottom. Well, they're not going to get there, so you got to get up quick and get what you can get while you can get it. If you have other people that are more conservative and everybody's just grabbing one thing and going to the top, you have to follow suit. You have to gauge that. So the strategy actually becomes variable depending on your group. I find that actually really refreshing. What I love about this game, though, is it's so small. You just throw this in your backpack, and my wife and I played it at the airport while we were waiting. Stuff like that. It's just this perfect. And after you've played that big brain burnery game and you're just trying to clear your head, this is a perfect little palate cleanse to just whip out and do that. So that's just a little bit about the game. This is a pretty brief overview, but the first time I saw this game was at BGG Con. I was playing with Larry Cruz and Brian Wilkett from the board game group, and I really enjoyed it. But I went to buy it, and it was $20 for this little thing.
Oh, wow.
$20. And I went, that's a bunch of crap, and I didn't buy it. And but then I kept kind of wanting to get it, and I ended up picking it up on a sale for $14, and then I was able to, splurge for it. But there's not much in here, and but overall, for the fun, I really did. I think it's worth it. So let's go into our rating. Barry, could you let us know about the rating system of the Knights of Babblot?
Okay. We both give it a score from 1 to 5, and then we add the score together to find out where it deserves to be in the Kingdom of Babblot. So if we give it a 5, it means it's an absolute love game. It's a must-own. This is a game that you want to play whenever possible. If it's a 4, it's very good. You want it in your collection, and you're quite happy to play it whenever it hits the table. A 3 is a good game. You'll play it occasionally, but, it's not essentially an own game. Or maybe it is an essential own game, but, just an occasional one. 2 is a game with problems. It's not excited to play it, or you wouldn't even want to own it. And 1, what do you think? 1 is
crap.
You wouldn't want it. Yeah, it's crap.
It's the dung pile in the center dung gate out back by the
dung
castle
gate.
of Babylon.
Not spoiler gate, dung gate.
Dung gate.
So, what we'll do then is justify our scores.
All right.
I would score it a 3.
A 3.
A 3. The components could have been, this game could have been ameliorated a little bit in slightly bigger box.
Ameliorated. That's a big word, Badger. Ameliorated.
I don't know if it's a real word, but to ameliorate. I don't know if it's even a French word.
I know Amelia Earhart, but I don't know ameliorate.
Okay. I'm going to get back in the fridge with Dana because she's half Zool. Nobody steps on the church in my town.
Okay, you want him to ameliorate it. Yeah, I'm sorry. You want to ameliorate it better. Okay.
Yeah, it could have been in a bigger box with some nicer components. The idea is good. It works as a push your luck game. It's just not interesting to me. I mean, I like the fact that Clank is like practically the same idea, but with deck building, and obviously they've grandirized it and it looks nice. But as a push your luck game, this is not one of my favorite ones because I drown.
Yeah.
I'll play it once, maybe in a blue moon, but it's not a game that I want to go.
So you suck at this game, and that's influenced your decision.
No, not really. It's not the fact that it sucks. It's just that, I'll play it once in a blue moon.
I didn't say it sucks. I said you suck at this game.
No, it sucks. No, it's a good game.
Suck air.
It's a good game. It's just that, it doesn't really appeal to me. The idea is good. But the game components, it's just for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
what
fair.
About for you?
That's fair. I'm actually. What does the guild think, or what does the chat think that I think about this game?
Okay.
We'll see if they've got me dialed in on this one.
Yeah. Well, Ben's given it a 3.8725 out of 5. I think that's what he means.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Kabuki has backed Dice Pirates, whether that means anything.
Okay, James says it's a 3 from Badger, 4 from Burky.
Yeah.
So he's pretty close there. Ben, he thinks Burky likes this, but is it a 5? Don says 3.5. We don't do these split rating things, we're not like Blue Peg, Pink Peg. But,
you do, you monkey.
Well, you're right. I guess I do. Kabuki said she missed the whole exclamation, so it was either technical difficulties or she's just so bored.
Probably, looking at me.
Well, Tadio, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, but Tad, yeah, Don says, just blame Trevor. Inside joke, that's good. I'm actually going to say a 4. The reason I'm saying a 4 is our rating says very good, wanted the collection, loved to play numerous times. All of that's true, but just not a 5. And the reason I have to say just not a 5 is because, honestly, I think it's too expensive for what it is. I think the component quality is marginal. It's fine. I like the fact that it's in a small box, though, because I want it to travel around in that manner. I want to be able to have it in the glove compartment or have it in my backpack and not take up a lot of space. That's probably my biggest knock on it, is just that, I've seen it go for $25.
Incredible.
Yeah, that just blows my mind. It's not that great of a game. But for what it is, I think it's pretty good. And I'm glad I have it, and I take it with me, and this is a game I can teach anyone. Kids can play it. It's good. So I'm going to give it a 4. That's going to give it a combined score of 7.
Yay!
And 7 means...
If you can see my screen, which you can because I'm screen sharing, it's inside the marketplace of Babblot. So there are some vendors probably selling it at a bit higher price than what it should be sold. Those nasty vendors. We're going to have to find out what their names are and get them on the show.
Yeah, it didn't quite make it to the Royal Garden and didn't make it to the Royal Ball and definitely didn't make it around the Round Table. We have yet to get a game into the Knights of the Round Table and Babblot.
Yeah, it's got to be worth it, though, hasn't it? It's got to be worthy of the table. And we've both got to think it.
It's going to be a deal. It's going to be a deal when that happens. I mean, the firecrackers are going to go and woohoo.
Woohoo. Okay, the next game. Shall I go and get it?
Yep.
I know what. You guys can look at
do you want me to just
my
show
empty
it?
chair.
You want me to just show it?
I'll go and get it.
Oh, you're going to go get it. So I just got to talk.
Yeah. You talk,
Yep.
You talk, and I'll screen. No, they can look at my chair and imagine that you're sat in my chair.
Imagine all the Burkies sitting in the chair. Okay, never mind. Okay, we have a game that's very exciting. It's another micro game, given our topic, and
you call this micro?
It's reasonably micro. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. We'll see whether it's micro, but yes.
It's about the size of a thick book. This is like Lord of the Rings, so I don't know. We kind of said, yeah, that's suffice for a micro game, but yeah. Here we have Incan Gold or Diamant. Again, it's a push your luck game, where you're pushing yourself against the other players to see how far you will go into a temple, to collect as much gems and treasures as possible, more than the other players, obviously, but you're also against these traps which are in the temple. It's a very simple game of basically on players' turn. They say yes, they wish to continue exploring the level. If they do, you reveal a treasure card from that level. Now, if it's a treasure card and it's gems, what's the word? Share.
You share, yeah.
You share all the gems, if possible. If they're not possible, then the gems rest on the card. If it is a secret artifact, you'll put the value of that artifact on top of the card, and it's there for anyone who leaves, but only if they leave on their own. And if it's a trap, well, that's not too bad, because if it's a trap like fire or falling stones or a big rolling boulder, it's okay, as long as another card of the same image does not come out. So each term, you're just going to be going, okay, yeah, I'm going to continue exploring, or you're going to say, no, I'm happy with the treasure I got, and you take it out, and you no longer pay a part, and you put your treasure in your tent.
Take the money and run. Take the money and run.
Yeah, so you do this for 5 levels of the temple. You're constantly taking the deck, you're going through the treasure deck card by card and deciding whether you want to be in the temple or not. And the player at the end of the game, after the 5 rounds, with the most treasure, is the winner.
Yeah, and I think some of the things that are kind of interesting about the push your luck, if 2 of the, forbidden items, the curses come out, that's where the push your luck stops and you lose whatever you're doing. But all these things are also, after you've collected your winnings, they're going behind a privacy screen. The privacy screen is way too easy to tip over, for my opinion.
Okay, you've got a different version to me. I've got little tents.
Yeah, mine are like little tents also. I have the I'll grab it here. I have the version, I think it's the same box that you just showed.
What, the Eagle Griffin?
Yeah, Eagle Griffin shelf versions. I'll pull out one, The Quest for Riches. This is an Alan Moon, Bruno Fedudi game, but yeah, this is the little tents.
Yeah, they don't fall over. What are you on about? You got fat fingers or something, Nate?
Well, I don't know. They're hard to get in, so when you go in there to try to count them, and then I don't know. I don't like the tents.
Oh dear, he's making excuses.
But anyway, you've got some hidden, and so there's a little bit of this trying to remember what other people have. So should I'm behind, so I need to go in there, but it's too dangerous to go in there. So this push your luck aspect of the game, it gets very exciting in my opinion. Mm-hmm. As you're going through there, and everybody is always very engaged in this game. We've played this game, gosh, I bet you we played it 30 times. I don't know a time that we haven't introduced this game to somebody and they said, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Because it's that little 10, 15 minute, type of excursion that everybody, and you can teach it so quickly. I mean, so in my mind, it's a relatively small box and it's a quick filler type of game. So I think it fits within that micro category that we've talked about. But that's basically all I have to say. I think we can probably go into the rating of this game unless you have another thought on it, Barry.
Okay, I'll do it with my rating. This game hasn't gone down always well with the groups that I've taught it to for some strange reason. The idea for me and the premise is great. I love the idea. It's a simple push your luck. And it's a simple case of, judging what the other players are doing. And unlike Deep Sea Adventure, you're kind of like in the same boat. In Deep Sea Adventure, you're at different levels. There might be because you roll a dice to move. That's the thing I don't like. You decide that determines how far down you can go. And if you roll low, that is annoying. Although you're at the top, but you're just taking the 1 and 2 treasures and then maybe going back to the boat safely. Whereas in this, you're in it together. And as you said, the thing you have to remember is, how much treasure did they win on the last round? And should I push myself that bit further? The art is nice and delightful. The thing I don't like is the cards. From a production value, to have 2 cards and then go, okay, right, I'm staying in the temple or I'm leaving the temple. It should have been a token or something, a big hand-sized token that you can put in your hand and then you reveal like that.
Yeah.
Because these cards get damaged quite easy, I found, and shuffling 2 cards so people don't know what you're going to do is a bit stupid, whereas having a token in your hand, I think, is a lot more sufficeable. The gameplay, I love the gameplay. I love it especially when you play with 8 players. It is so much fun. The first round is a bit, because people are just trying to grasp the concept of the game. But after a while, they see that, if they stayed a couple more rounds, they would have had a bit more money. But they're happy to have that money, and they're going to push their luck the next time. 5 rounds is perfect. It's never too long. There have been, again, some games where the luck of the deck has been abysmal. After the 4th card, everybody's chased out by the mummy or crushed by the rock falls.
Right.
So nobody's got any treasure at the end of the game scoring. But this is a game that I love. I still own it. It's definitely a 4 for me, not quite a 5, because, as I said, there's those problems. And again, it's not something I want to play all the time. The theme is good, the idea is good, the way it works is good, the gems are nice, but the little problems with players and little problems with the as I said, the 2 cards that you have each player.
Yeah, that's I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to give it a 4, and that's exactly how I feel about it. I think I would like to have seen us have a really nice player coin that maybe would have had both. You know, I love the little guy with the torch on that. They're running out of there. But I would have liked to have something a little more tactile than just 2 cards. And I don't know, they're fine. I think the thing that I like so much about the game is that whenever we bring it out, people enjoy it. I've never had a bad experience with the game, and we've literally brought it out whenever we're introducing people to some quick, fun games, party style, small footprint, can be played on a mini game topper. See what I did there?
Nah, yeah, sorry.
It's perfect. So I love it from that standpoint. I like Eagle Griffin's little box line of games there, their bookshelf games. But I think they could have done a better job with production. Like I said, I don't like those little player tents. I don't like them. It's hard to get in there and figure that out. But the little black tokens and the gold tokens are fine. So I just think it's a great game. I love push your luck games, and I think it deserves a 4. But sometimes with these kind of games, you play them so much, after a while, they're always exciting for new people. But after you've played them a bunch, it's like, okay, I'm just tired of playing Codenames.
Yeah.
It's such a great game. I like it, but I'm tired of playing it because I've played it so much. And I think that's where some of these can kind of wear their welcome a little, and that's ink and gold for me. I'll play it anytime someone wants to play it. I'm sure it'll be fun, but it's not one like I itch to play. So that's why I have to give it a 4. So we're going to have a combined score of 8.
Yay!
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, which means that it is in the royal gardens of Babblot, probably with all the ladies, and next to the fountain, probably. Yes. What was I going to say? Chat, there it is. Okay,
I like Rick's chat. He said, every game should ideally be played on a topper. Well, yeah.
Now, Ben says that are my impressions and ratings affected by other gamers at the table? They kind of are, but at the same time, you know, when you do a review, you kind of have to look past that at the base of the actual mechanics of the game and what the game is trying to imply and how the game is going to roll and how it fits with the theme and everything. Again, you know, if you're not having a good time because your friends are not having a good time, that does have, you know, a personal effect on you, but it doesn't detract from the logical side of it's like this game. As I said, I've played it a few times and it's gone down really badly because people just don't get it or they're not having fun. But it doesn't affect what I think about the game. It's how I feel about the game, but there's then how I think about the game.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it. I think it's a great game. I mean, that
it's like Uno.
To get a rating of an 8, I think that's a really good thing. So why don't we move right along and we'll move into our first, before we move into the Babble Talk, let's talk. I forget. Let's make sure that we talk about our other sponsor, Academy Games. Academy Games just had a very successful Kickstarter of this amazing game called Agents of Mayhem, Pride of Babylon. And Pride of Babylon, this was from the video property from Volition and Deep Silver Games. I mean, this is a big-time property, and they actually had a game design that had 3D levels that was a game that was based on the combat conflict in Fallujah. Say that 3 times real fast. But because this game fit that whole theme, they rethemed their game to fit with the Agents of Mayhem. I saw the playthroughs of these games. I actually saw the actual production copy for their prototype at Gamma. This thing is awesome. This is 3 to 4 stories high, and the line of sight mechanism is fantastic. The immersion of the actual theme of the game and the characters was really something. And that game is now still available for the late pledge or the pre-order, and that's at academygames.com. You can go to their Kickstarter. And of course, Academy Games, they've just done some fantastic games, like Vikings 878 is fantastic. Their series of 1775 and 1754, Freedom, the Underground Railroad, Mare Nostrum, which is one of my all-time favorite games. Thief is another one that they've done. I mean, they have a whole line with their Storm of Steel and some of their other military games, and they're always knocking it out of the park. These are just flat-out fantastic, well-produced, they're just fantastic games. Can't say enough about Academy Games. Again, thank you for their support. But check out Pride of Babylon, Agents of Mayhem, now available from academygames.com.
And now it's time for the
Babble, 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 Burky and Badger's board game babble. Annoying.
It's all right.
The sooner the show finishes, the better. Anyway, here in Babblot, we have lots of people babbling. In fact, most of the people in Babblot are board gamers, and all they talk about is board games. And one of the things that they've been babbling about is micro games. Are micro games on the way out? They were a fad. The people were talking about them all the time. Are they a one-shot thing? Are they a blot on the landscape now? Are they past their sell-by date? Have they gone to meet their maker? Is it an X-Parrot? Aim for the flat top. So are micro games on the way out? And we're also going to do a top... Are we going to do a top 5 or a top 10?
Yeah, top 5 with some honorable mentions.
Okay, we're going to do a top 5 of our favourite mini-games.
Let's just tackle this thing right away. Do you think, and we'll get some input from the chat, please let us know what you think, but are mini games, this mini-mania micro game craze, is it a fad? Is it kind of as on its way out? Do you think it's over? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, me personally, I've just seen on Kickstarter this game called Songbird. That's just finished. And that's a micro game.
Yeah.
And it's like, micro games are still going.
It's true.
It's, they're not dead. Obviously, as you can see, this is all in Chinese or Japanese. So, I mean, the companies over in the Oriental states are still producing these type of games because they sell well. They obviously do well over there. And then, obviously, because they're doing well there, they get some recognition over the other side of the world, and that's when they put them on Kickstarter to get them funded and printed into our languages. If this thing keeps happening, I don't think they are dead. I don't think they were a fad. I just think that, a few come along and then people were talking about them, and it's just a case of here they are now.
Well, I think what happened, we had the craze for a while when Love Letter came out, and some of these mini games, and we had Coup, some of these games like that were in a very small box, which we felt this was part of our criteria to be considered a mini game, that it comes in a small footprint and that it plays quickly, so it has that filler type of aspect, so less than 30 minutes, micro. We talked the games like Tiny Epic Western, Tiny Epic Galaxy, Gamelin Games. They've made a whole series of these that are a very small footprint, but they're not necessarily micro games. They're Tiny Epic Quest. I mean, that's a full-blown game that you sit down and it's a heavy-duty Euro. All My Goods, it's just a little deck of cards, but that's an in-depth game. So we wouldn't consider those micro games, and we might have some disagreements on which ones we think are micro and which ones are full-blown games, but I think the concept of micro games, Tad said something in here that I think is really relevant. He said, micro games, I imagine, are easy to produce, just need a unique hook or a mechanic to sell it. So they're here to stay, I would say. And when I think about that, I think he's exactly right. Every publisher out there, they're pumping out different games. And honestly, if you only have one game a year, you're going to have a hard time as a publisher unless it's amazing, like Stonemaier Games, where you're putting out Scythe or you're putting out Charterstone and you have a pedigree. But a lot of these companies, they're needing to produce 2 or 3, 4, 5, sometimes more titles, and they need to have some of these micro games that are very profitable. They're easy to produce. They're very cost effective to produce. They can be sold for $15, $20. They only cost a couple dollars to produce. So they can maintain a profit margin, but also provide that genre, if you will, that market niche in their lineup of games.
Yeah, and, you know, some of the comments are talking about Zombie Dice. Well, Zombie Dice was here way before that craze came along, so... And again, there's a few games on my desk here, which I've got hidden off camera, which we're going to talk about when we do our top 5, that were released way before the micro game craze came out. And there are games which, you know, coming out which you wouldn't consider micro games, but they are micro games, but they're not micro games. So I don't know. It's a strange category. I mean, there's lots of games. I mean, could any small card game just be a micro game?
Yeah. So it's Codenames a micro game.
Yeah. It's about the same size as Incan Gold.
Yeah, it's a bigger box than Incan Gold.
My version isn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that one was on the edge for me, whether it's a micro or not, because sometimes, depending on how many teams you're playing with, it can take more than 30 minutes. Not generally, but...
Or how stupid your team is. It can take longer than 30 minutes, yes. Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think for people to produce a micro game that is just not cards is very tricky. You don't see that many that are producing components along with a micro version. You know, I think of I don't know if you can see up on my shelf way up on top, but behind my Spoils of War game, I have all of these 2-player games from the Cosmos series. I've got a ton of them. You know, these are some pretty cool games. You know, I've got Perry Rodan, I've got Asante, Starship Catan, Targi, Kahuna, Seven Wonders Duel, and then Lightning and Thunder. Well, they're all in very small boxes, but I wouldn't really consider any of them micro because there's a lot of game in there. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I got Munchkin. Well, I got 2 copies of Munchkin. I got the English version of Munchkin, which is about the same size as that. But I also have the French version of Munchkin, which is even smaller. And Munchkin can go on for a long time because it's a lot of back and forth and backstabbing and things like that. So I wouldn't consider that a micro game. Again, I've got some games which take 15 minutes to play, and they're in bigger boxes, which is strange. You got a game that's that big and it plays in 15 minutes. It's like the recent game Montana, which has come out. It's a big game. Well, it's not a big game, but it's got a lot of components. It takes as long to set up as it does to play the game. Which could have been a micro game.
Yeah, interesting.
But it's not.
Well, I think that... Do we have anything from the... Yeah, Kabuki Kid made a good comment about those Paco games. Mm-hmm. They were just those little itty-bitty ones. Now, there was one called Jim, and they look like little packs of gum. I actually haven't played any of them, but I heard that several of them are pretty cool. Why don't we just move on into our top 5, and we can talk a little bit more about what we like about some of our favorites.
Hear ye, hear ye! This is the top 5 board games from Burky and Badger, starting with number 5.
My number 5 is it comes in various sized boxes. This is the small box called Bizarre, or Ghost Blitz for you guys.
Ghost Blitz.
It's a small deck of cards, and all it is 5 wooden pieces: a ghost, a white ghost, a red chair, a grey mouse, a blue book, and a green bottle. And it's a visual game where you put these objects in the middle of the table, you have the deck of cards, you reveal the first card, it'll have an image on it, and whatever is represented on that card, you have to be the first player to grab that object. Or, whatever is not represented on that card, you have to grab the object. It's very cerebral, again, very much like Set. There's a kind of like opposite logic to how the game plays. It plays very, very quickly. You can have like 8 people sat around the table, even more if you want. And as I said, it comes in a larger version as well. But this is fun for holidays. Simple to play, and it's just a nail scratching fun fest.
Wow,
that's my number 5.
I haven't heard of that before. Is that available in North America?
Yeah, it's called Ghost Blitz.
Blitz.
There's about 3 versions.
When did you say it came out?
I got 2010.
2010, and what was the manufacturer, publisher?
I got Zoc.
Yeah, it looks good. Good.
It's good.
Awesome. Well, my number 5 is the game we've already talked about. It was in our Babblot topic, and it's Deep Sea Adventure.
Ooh.
Number 5. I just think it's great for the size. I feel like this is the game that I'm going to take to a convention, and when we're sitting at the dinner waiting for our food or whatever, or in a lobby, that I can play this because it's really small, really big. I've played it quite a bit, and I really like it, so it reached number 5 on my list.
Number 4 now.
Number 4, I've also mentioned it on the show. It would have been Set. But as I said, there's a game which is like Set but like Quirkle, and I love Quirkle, and that's Itoa. As I said, really enjoyable. It's logic as well as trying to get as many points as possible, Quirkle style, in a small, very small card, even smaller than your Deep Sea Adventure. It's just a very small. It's actually a tin, I think. It's a small tin.
Yeah, cards. A little tin.
Yeah. You slip it in your back pocket and you wouldn't even feel it. So yeah, that's my number 4, Itoa.
Itoa.
Iota. IOTA. Yeah. Sorry.
Iota. I don't give an iota. My number 4 is a game that came out from Yellow Games, and it comes.
Go sleep.
Yellow Games, and it's called Biblios. Biblios. You can see that there from Yellow. It comes with this fantastic magnetic box where the flap opens like this here, and it's magnetic. And there's a set of cards in here and rules, of course, and these great big honking chunky dice of different colors. These dice are great big honking dice. And you basically have this card. What I love about this game, you have this little tableau. And this tableau allows you to put the dice on there. And that sets the value, basically, of what your scoring is going to be at the end of the game. And so Biblios allows you to do this drafting. Your 3 cards are going to come into your hand, and it plays a little differently with different player counts, 2 to 4 players. But it's designed by Steve Flynn, by the way. It takes about under 30 minutes to play. But you're going to draft. You're going to be able to keep one. You're going to put one up in the auction pile for later. You're going to get coins that you use to purchase other coins. But you're basically doing set collection of the color of dice. But there are different cards that mess with you, that you can increase the level of the die or lessen the level, or maybe even 2 of them. And so this game, giving you a really brief overview of it, but it's just always fun. People always want to play it another time. So Biblios, great production, really fun. Push your luck. Well, not push your luck as much, but strategic game. How much should I spend? How much should I bid? That type of game. Love it. Biblios from Yellow Games.
Let's do it number 3.
My number 3 is a push your luck and try and read the other players while sticking fingers at them like that. This game is Crossing. Where you're going through a forest, you're a fairy tale creature, and there's these magic mushrooms which push these gems. And if you collect as many gems as possible, that gives you lots of points, but if you collect different combinations of, this combination of gems, it gives you even more points. And you're doing this in a very simple fashion. Everybody counts to 3 and then points their finger at which mushroom they wish to harvest. If 2 or more players point to the same mushroom, nobody gets anything. But if you're the only person to point to that mushroom, you get to take those gems and put them in your bag. Thing is, once you've got these gems in your bag, people can point their finger on the next turn and steal from you. So you have to decide whether it's best to keep grabbing the gems or to actually miss a turn by actually covering over your bag and going home and banking these gems for the end of the game. It's very quick playing. It's very humorous, especially if you play up to the maximum of 6 players. It's beautifully produced with the gems and the fantasy art. Arkwright all over again. Really, really, really nice. It's one of the bigger boxes, but it's still quite small. You can fit it in your hand. That's Crossing, my number 3.
Crossing, your number 3. Well, my number 3 is, again, coming from the Eagle Griffin book, whatever they call that series.
Yeah.
The book line, yeah. This is a game called For Sale.
Ooh.
For Sale is just this fantastic little bidding game, basically. You're gonna have a certain amount of coins, I think it's 14 that you get, and you're gonna be bidding on these property cards that are gonna range 1 to 30, and then everybody's gonna, if there's 4 players, you're gonna have these all laid out, these cards, and everybody's gonna bid on them. You can play up to 6 players, I believe, with this game. It's 2 to 6. Is that right?
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
3 to 6. 3 to 6 players. Plays in 20 to 30 minutes. You buy these property cards. They're all just little quirky, fun little art. You can be in the doghouse or get the mansion or the boat. And basically then once you get those cards, you use those cards to purchase these other point cards. And you have 2 15s, 2 14s, 2 13s. And so if you have the 30 property, that's going to allow you to buy any one you want. But everybody is putting them down blind. And that's the fun part of that game. You never know for sure whether you should bid a little higher card. And you're being careful about your money, too, because if you spend your money on the card, you lose all the money you bid. But if you pass at some point in that bidding process, you get half of your money back. And so you're managing this small amount of money to get these cards to purchase these points in a later round. The game plays so quick, but every time we play this game, somebody wants to play it again. We play this over and over and over. If we ever have guests over that haven't played a board game, this is one of the ones we pull out right away. It's a fantastic game. Eagle Griffin, For Sale.
That's one of my honorable mentions. For Sale.
Great game.
It is a nice game. Does have problems though with the bidding, I think, when you have like 6 players, in my opinion. But yeah, good choice.
All right. Well, I'm glad your opinion doesn't matter. So
yeah, I know.
We're getting close. It's number 2.
The flowers are still standing. Anywho, my number 2. There are millions of different versions of this game. Timeline or card line. Up to you which one you want to choose. I've got like 7 or 8 different versions of both. This is a very small tin. Again, I think Timeline came out before the fad of micro games came out. With some very small cards where you have a line of cards in front of you, which you have to get rid of. But the thing is, you have to place them in their right chronological order with the other cards at the table. And every time someone adds a card to this chronological line in the middle of the table, the line gets longer. And so, therefore, it gets harder to find the right time and right space to put these cards in. It comes in different versions. You have like one about movie and cinema, and you have a version about America. You have a version about events that happened in the world. You have a version about, monuments and art and literature and discoveries, and there's animals you can put in timelines. Lots of different things that can be applied to this mechanic. As you can see, it's a small tin, and it just goes down so well everywhere because it's such a simple concept, and at the same time there's a lot of head scratching, and which is what I like, and we have a good laugh playing it. That's my number 2, timeline or card line.
Yeah, I hear a ton of great things about that game. I have never played it, so that's one that I'd like to get to the table sometime. Yeah. Who produces that, by the way?
That's Asmodee or Bombay X.
Okay. Well, my number 2 is a quick little fun push your luck game that I just adore. This is from Z-Man Games, and it is No Thanks. Super thin little game. It's a push your luck game where you have a bunch of these little itty-bitty plastic poker chips, and you've got these cards, and they range, I think, up to 34 or something like that, 35. And you're basically, if you don't want the card and it comes to you, you put one of your coins on it. But soon as you decide to take the card, you get to take all the coins that are put on, that everybody has put on these cards. And so everybody is trying to manage their coins so they have enough so they don't get stuck with the card. Your goal is to have the smallest amount of points available. And if you get a run, say that you got the 30 card, but then you got the 29 and the 28, your total score is only 28. So there's a push your luck aspect, and there's I think 7 of the cards that are taken out of the deck. So you don't know, you don't have perfect information, and everybody is doing this. The intensity of, should I try to slough around, or you can milk coins from people if you're the way your cards are set up, and nobody else has one. You can just kind of, I'm going to throw a coin in because everyone else doesn't want this card because it doesn't match their cards, and it's just a blast. We love this game. It's 3 to 5 players. You play this in 15-20 minutes. All the time. This is the game that comes out. I've played this. I bet you we've played this 50 or more times, maybe 70 times. I don't know. Love the game. No Thanks from Z-Man Games.
And finally, it's that number 1 one that they like the most.
Okay. Can anybody guess what my number 1 is, or your number 1?
Drum roll.
What do I think yours is? I'm reluctant to say Hanabi, but I don't know. What could yours be?
Okay, now that's interesting that you said Hanabi. I hate Hanabi, by the way, so it ain't it. But I got to think about what yours is, because you did like Hanabi.
Mm-hmm.
I bet yours is Hanabi. That's why you brought it up.
No, maybe.
Mine is not Hanabi.
Okay, I reckon yours is probably Welcome to the Dungeon.
Welcome to the Dungeon.
That's Jungle.
Oh, that's right.
Welcome to the Dungeon! Oh, dear.
No, it's not Welcome to the Dungeon.
No. Okay.
All right, so let us have it.
My number 1 is, you're going to be surprised, is
really?
A deck of regular playing cards.
Woo!
Surprise, huh?
Yeah.
Why? Because then you can play games like the Great Dalmuti with a deck of regular playing cards. You can play games like Uno with a deck of regular playing cards. You can't go wrong. It's limited. You can play solitaire. You can be on your own. Just get the deck of cards out and go. Definitely the best micro game that there is, because it is so versatile. You can do whatever you want with it. You can just get the cards out and throw them across the room. See how far you can flick a card, or you can just shuffle them. If you don't accept that, I'm just going to say the Great Dalmuti. But I'm going to say deck of standard playing cards.
No, I actually think that's brilliant. You know, I've played Pinochle with my father and grandfather and played gin rummy. I mean, we played hundreds and hundreds of hands. When I was dating my wife Joan, we played Pinochle all the time. Yeah. We love poker and you know, those are just with a deck of cards. There's so many games to play. Incredibly versatile with just a 52 deck of playing cards. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's brilliant, actually.
Yeah, and again, we had a deck of cards before we had Uno and before we had Great Dalmuti, and we played games which resemble them or are them, but, you know, with pictures and numbers, but different.
I don't know if it really fits our category because we're not naming a specific game, but you have with the Great Dalmuti, but it is a micro thing that is so many games. So, you know, I think it's close.
Okay.
My number one is a game that was only available in Europe, and it was really hard to get a hold of. It was designed by Alexander Pfister, who has designed some fantastic games like Mombasa, Great Western Trail. I mean, these heavy, crunchy Euros. And I think he's a really... he did all My Goods. He's a very prolific designer. But he came out with a game that was recently picked up in North America by Steve Jackson Games, and I just think it's fantastic. We have been playing the mess out of this game. It is by far my number one game, and it is called Port Royal. Port Royal, small game. It's just basically a deck of cards. I have mine all sleeved, but you know, on these cards here, there's coins on the back that give you the money to purchase. I'm getting a bad glare there, I think. Sorry, but you're getting cards like you can get these objective cards. It's a push your luck game. So you have these different ships. You know, you have the British, the American, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the French ships. And if you get more than one ship, then you lose everything that is out there in the tableau. You have coins that allow you to buy these different characters that become an engine building aspect. So if you're getting, you know, say, for instance, the governor, that'll allow you to get 2 cards, or the admiral, if you have more than 5 cards that have been pushed out. It's basically kind of like 21 in a sense. You know, if you bust, you get 2 of them, you know, you lose everything. But if 5 of them go out there and you have the admiral, you're going to be able to pick up extra 2 coins, and you can grab those 2 coins before you make your purchase, and they all have a value on what you're purchasing. In addition to that, they all give you points, but then they have these objective cards that you can trade in these cards that you get, like the priest card or the captain card or whatever, that allow you to trade in and get more points. And the first person to 12 points ends the game, and then everybody has one last turn there basically to do it. I mean, this is one of the things for me with micro games. They're so gateway friendly. They're small footprint. Non-gamers, gamers alike, you can teach it really quick, and boom, it's at the table. I think it's a brilliant game. It's probably my I love it. I mean, if we did a Knights of Babblot in this thing, it would get a very high score. Love Port Royal from Steve Jackson Games and Alexander Pfister.
Okay. Interesting. Now, honorable mentions, obviously. For me, Hanabi.
Oh, yeah.
For Sale's been already mentioned. Also, Ice in the Sky, which I actually do prefer over Hanabi, which is kind of like the same kind of thing.
Huh.
And 2 more. Kabuki Kid was mentioned in Resistance if it was to come into a small box. I would say no, because it can go on a bit too long, but that's why I would say probably Time Bomb, which is the same kind of thing, but it's quicker played. It plays very, very quickly. And of course, my number 6, which was this, the Badakodsu, the Bois de Coutu. It's a very, very fun memory game.
Huh.
And very small. And very replayable.
I think one of the things that was really interesting is neither of us mentioned Love Letter. When Love Letter first came out, it was a big deal. When Coup first came out, it was a really big deal. I prefer Avalon Resistance for that. They were really big games. Of the games that I really like for Love Letter, I like the Batman version the best. I didn't care for The Hobbit. The regular version was fine. But it just got so overdone that I didn't care anymore. And honestly, it's like Codenames is such a great game. And when it first came out, I would have probably put this in that category. I'm going to give it an honorable mention because it's just such a great game. We still play it. I've just gotten a little burned out on it, that's all. So that was an honorable mention. I have another little game here, too, that I like the bigger game version of it better, but it's a little small game called Sushi Go.
All right.
I love Sushi Go. You're collecting, and the player interaction is very good. This is another game that I think is brilliant, and this is from Dice Hate Me Games, and it's called The Great Heartland Hauling Company. Mm-hmm. And it's just got some cards and these little trucks, and you're running around hauling. You're either hauling grain or your little cows to market, and you're getting points for it, and it's just in this little itty-bitty box. This is a great, fun game, and it plays, in that 15 to 30 minutes, depending on your player count. There's another game that came out from Fantasy Flight Games, and my dad actually really liked this one here, and this is a little game called The Art of War, The Age of War. and this is actually a Reinhard Knizia game, but this is basically just dice rolling, dice chucking to get these little sets. And you have kind of a push your luck-ish type of aspect to it, but it's 7 custom dice and 14 cards and plays 2 to 6 players. Really quick. And this is my last one. Is a game that I heard about from Z Garcia at the Dice Tower several years ago, but it's this little game called Familia.
Uh-huh.
And it's this mobster-themed game, Rio Grande Games. I love this game. If I played it more, it's from Friedman Fries, he's a genius, Power Grid, all that kind of stuff. But it's just basically a deck of cards with these really cool little artwork with these thugs, and you're basically upgrading from your 1 thug up to a 4 thug and trying to get the most points. And it's such a great game. I love it. Familia from Rio Grande Games. And that's, I thought about other games, like Star Realms. I love Star Realms. I like Hero Realms a lot too. But those are more involved games to me, even though they're micro in a sense. They're small deck. The Tiny Epic series, there's so many of them that I could think of. I thought of Capital Lux, which I really like, but to me, that's a really in-depth game. It's brain-burnery, and I wouldn't consider it micro. Others might disagree with that.
Yeah. As I said, Munchkin, it can go on too long. I've got lots of little Miniville as well. Small deck of card and a couple of dice. But that can go on too long, depending on the luck of the dice, things like that. And not really a micro game. It is more of a full-fledged game in the small box.
I probably should have included this one too. This is Roll For It. I have the classic deluxe version by Chris Leader. It's such a great game, and it's really quick. So that's a great one too. That's a quick filler that I really do like. But I've got games like Valley of the Kings and Team Play and Chimera. Some of these games that are really great games, but I just didn't quite consider them micro.
Yeah. You got Six Ninth as well, which Kabuki's talking about, and Great Heartland.
And I even thought Onitama,
I thought Onitama as well, but the box is not really small enough. It's very quick playing. You can play a game in 5-10 minutes. Nah, it's not a micro game.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like it fit the category either.
No.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, I think we're about ready to wrap up the show. I mean, I think there's a lot of awesome mini games out there, and there's such a variety of games now. I think we just are so blessed to have all of the games that we can play and fit different needs and different player groups and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, again, there's lots of games, small games on my shelf, which I like playing, but they're just small games, and some of them are not quick enough. And sometimes you want something which is very simple for non-gamers to play, you know, especially when your mum comes over. It's like, oh well, let's pack away Clash of Rage and Ticket to Ride. Let's get something else out. Here you go, deck of cards.
Well, Badger, as always, it's such a pleasure and such an honor to be on the show with you. Thank you guys so much for joining the chat. This was fantastic, a lot of interaction. We have another show coming up on April 16th at noon, and we have Jamie Keggy from the Secret Cabal is going to be joining us on the podcast. Super excited about that show coming up on April 16th. So please join in for that. And again, we want to thank our sponsors, Arcade Wonders and Academy Games, and of course Game Toppers is mixed in there. Thank you so much for all your help. Where can people find us, Barry?
I'm here! Whee! That's where you can find me. No, you can go to BoardGameTheatre.com or BoardGamesEverybodyShould.com and find us there in our own little sections on those pages. We also have a Board Game Geek Guild at 2248 on Board Game Geek. Go there, comment, answer our polls and questions, and we'll mention you. And you also find out when our next shows are as well, if we decide to do one last minute.
And that's the Board Game Geek Guild 2248.
Yes, and you can also find us at Libsynth, Burky and Badger. Get that one out. That was a tongue twister and a half.
Burky and Badger Board Game Babble Show, baby.
Yep, and you can find us on all the other websites which do podcast stuff, and of course you can find us right here on this YouTube channel, Burky and Badger, as well.
Yeah, I'd encourage you guys, if you haven't heard the audio show, it doesn't have all the flaws that this show has.
Yeah. And I would encourage you guys that if you listen to the podcast, go and check out the live video, and you can see all the crap which happens to us.
Absolutely.
And all the crap that we say that we don't edit out.
Well, Barry does such a fantastic job with the pro edit here. So, and he puts in bloopers.
Barry's a pro idiot. Did you say? Barry's a pro idiot.
Pro edit.
Okay.
But anyway, the post-production of that, he does such a fantastic job. So take a listen to that and see what you think. And give us feedback. We'd love to get some ratings on iTunes and some of the other places so we can continue to get the word out about what we're talking about. We'd love to have more people join in the fun, and that's why we do this. So thank you again so much. And with that, we're signing out.
Thank you again for listening to Burky and Badger's Board Game Babble. This show was written, produced, and performed by Kevin Burkhardt-Smyer and Barry Doublet. As was the music too, with a little help from the Balance of Power and Kevin MacLeod. Although the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme was composed by Ennio Morricone, and background effects were supplied by Sirenscape. Enhance your gaming at Sirenscape.com. Join us next time where we might have a special guest, or we may review a game. But either way, there'll be more craziness and more babbling.
We're so glad we had this time together. Now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. So keep us in mind, get online. Burky and Badger will be back in no time.
Okay, well, being you don't have much to talk about that, so what is making you go,
I can't remember now. I got to switch screens because people can't see you, so I have to
Forget
Do a
about it.
screen share so people
Just
can
go
see
for
it.
it, brother. Let's have fun.
No, but people can... I can't pick my nose without someone looking. Normally, I can wait until you talk, and then I can pick my nose, and nobody will notice this little box down the bottom. But there's no little
Too
box.
much information, Barry. Too much information.